All right, welcome back on May the 18th, 2023. This is the first Aussie boxing podcast, an actual full podcast breakdown on of all the news that's going on in the Australian boxing area. So right now we got a lot of news to talk about. So just to jump right into things with just some brief topic explanations. Here I got them pulled up on the screen. So we are going to talk about and understand that if you're watching this right now and not listening on the podcast, these are not in a particular order, but in the show notes, I'll make sure down below in the description box of the audio format or the video format, it is put in order. So here's some of the things we're going to be talking about. The WBO has ordered Tszyu versus Jermell Charlo to take place by September the 30th. Tszyu is going to be taking on Carlos Ocampos June the 18th. Showtime here in the States is going to be airing that fight. George Kambosos is likely rumored to be fighting Maxi Hughes, but earlier today, as I was doing my fight week preview for Devin Haney versus Vasil Lomachenko, which is 2 days from now, an email came out, press release from Top Rank that George Kambosos is now a Top Rank ESPN Lou DiBella fighter. Jai Opetaia, remember him last year in one of the biggest fights, biggest upsets of the year, when the IBF Cruiserweight title, beating Miras Briedis, had his jaw broken on both sides, basically mandible hanging off, and he's dealing with some promotional issues that are causing some network issues. Stevie Sparks got a bad decision robbery, in a lot of people's opinion, against Gabriel Valenzuela on the undercard of Canelo versus Ryder, May the 6th, is May the 18th right now, a couple of weeks ago. Cherneka Johnson versus Ellie Scotney was also supposed to be happening this week on the undercard of Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron, undisputed at 140 pounds, earlier in the day, the same day as Haney versus Loma. But that fight's going to be taking place on June the 10th on the undercard of Sonny Edwards versus Andrew Campos. Dennis Hogan fighting this weekend on the undercard of Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron against James Metcalf, defending his IBO title. And Jason Moloney won against Vincent Astrolabia last week. Me and Big J covered that card in a very impressive win. And now this week, his brother Andrew Moloney has a chance to win also his first world title against Junto Nakatani on the undercard of Haney versus Loma. That's at a super flyweight, 115 pounds. And then Big J is going to be attending the fight next week with May the 24th between Joseph Parker and Tszyu Apollo. How do you pronounce his name, Big J? Apollo.
Just Django
Apollo. May the 24th, we're going to be doing a full card preview of that. And the Australian boxing, I forgot what the source is called, but basically it's being rumored that Tyson Fury is going to be in attendance for that card May the 24th on main event no limit pay-per-view. And Nikita Tszyu is going to be taking on Benjamin Bomber. And I feel like we're missing something else. Oh, and Liam Parrow, news coming out that he's been injured, and Riga's pro grade 140-pound WBC champion is looking for a new dance partner, reaching out in Arnold Barboza for the fight. So it's saying right now, according to the rumors, that Liam Parrow can't resume camp for about another 5 to 6 weeks, which is a bummer. So let's jump right into things on TstreeT Controversy with FightView 360 and TraversialMedia.com. My colleague Big J. Let's talk about the fights that's happening this weekend. Andrew Moloney is going to be taking on Junto Nakatani on the undercard of Devin Haney versus George Kambosos, which is going to be what? Isn't it $30 for you guys over there on main event pay-per-view?
Yeah, it sounds about right. Normally those fights are about $30 a piece.
Yeah, and here in the States, it's going to be on ESPN pay-per-view for $60. And that is the co-feature. It's a title fight. So just briefly, that undercard is going to consist of, it's going to be Devin Haney, Lomachenko as the main event, Junto Nakatani, Andrew Moloney, Raymond Maratila versus Jeremiah Nakatia, Oscar Valdez versus Adam Lopez, Floyd Diaz, Nico Ali Walsh, Abdullah Mason, Amari Jones, the son of Fernando Vargas, fighting also on that card. A very stacked card here in the state at a newer, lower price point for a mainstream pay-per-view here in the States at $60. So let's go look at the resume of Junto Nakatani. 24-0 with 18 KOs, from Japan. When he fought Angel Acosta back in 2021, I remember that fight. That was somewhat considered an upset. And then I got another somewhat considered an upset against Francisco Rodriguez, and now he's facing Andrew Moloney. Don't get me wrong; he's a tough, hard-hitting fighter. 25 years old, but Andrew Moloney is vastly experienced, 25-2 with 16 KOs, 32 years old, and he's never been stopped. Most notable win was for mine. Well, you can somewhat say outside of the fight he should have won against Joshua Franco, that Norberto Jimenez was a solid win, one of the best wins, best looking of his career. So, what do you think about this fight? And tell me what you were telling me about the odds over there.
Okay, so the odds, we've got this company called Sportsbet, which is an Australian sports betting company. Andrew Moloney is paying $4.40, so he's a heavy underdog, where Nakatani is paying $1.25.
Mm-hmm.
So Andrew is a heavy underdog. I mean, that's a great payday if he wins. But, I mean, everyone's agreed that with the Moloney twins, that Andrew has definitely got the harder fight of the pair, right?
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was that much harder. I mean, Jason was a favourite against Vincent, what's his last name again?
Astrolabia,
where Andrew was a heavy underdog against this Nakatani fella. So,
mm-hmm.
but has Nakatani ever been in a world title fight?
Yeah. Angel Acosta. That's how he got the belt. No, correction. He won the vacant belt before that. I covered the Angel Acosta fight when he lost the belt, but I forgot what happened in between when Acosta. That was Acosta's second time getting a shot at that belt. But basically, yeah, he fought for a vacant title, the vacant WBO title, in November 2021, and he's been defending that title since.
I see. Right, fair enough. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a very tough fight for Andrew. He's going to be at his absolute best to get the win. But, I mean, we'll just have to see what happens. I mean, Andrew's never been stopped. I mean, he's copped a couple of beatings via James Franco, but, yeah, never been stopped. And, he's just going to have to be at his best to win. So it's as simple as that. So,
yeah, we don't know.
I certainly hope that he does win, because it's going to be a bit of a damper on the weekend if he doesn't.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on right now with the IBF champion Fernando Martinez, who's been over at PBC. He's fought Jermell and Cajas in the rematch in his last fight. Joshua Franco is taking on Kazuto Ioka. I forgot why Ioka vacated his belt. I forgot the politics behind it, but they're going to be fighting again soon. I did look that up, and we don't know what's going on with the WBC situation with Francisco Estrada and Bam Rodriguez, like as it stands right now. So moving on, you have Dennis Hogan, who's going to be taking on James Metcalf on the undercard of Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameroon. That's going to be this weekend on the Zone. What's going on with Dennis? Like, what is this supposed to be leading to? Do you know?
Well, basically, Dennis always wanted his coming home fight back in Ireland, and he got his wish.
Okay, so
he's a world champion. Yeah, he's a world champion. He wanted to have a huge fight in Ireland. I mean, I've spoken to Dennis at least 3 or 4 times, a couple on the channel, and yeah, he always said he wanted to have a big fight in Ireland, and you can't get much bigger than this. I mean,
and where's he at right now? Is this 154?
Sorry?
This is 154, right?
That is correct. He's the 154 IBO champion. That is correct.
Okay, so he's ranked number 11 by the WBC. And that is it. Okay, so I'm guessing, I'm trying to figure out a path for him, like which way. It's too all over the place right now. But James Metcalf is not a bad fighter. It's going to be an entertaining fight on paper. I'm not going to be picking James Metcalf to beat. Then again, you never know. Because
once again, according to the bookies in Australia, Dennis Hogan is the underdog. James Metcalf is the favourite. So I think it's $1.70 versus $2.20 or something. So Dennis Hogan is the underdog in this fight. But with Dennis's vast experience, I think he'd be able to outsmart James Metcalf.
I was looking at James Metcalf's resume as I have it pulled up right here. He's been in some tough fights, you know, and fights that he's only been stopped once compared to you guess you can say that Dennis Hogan has been in some tough fights, but he's taken some beatings as well.
Yeah, it's true. I mean,
And he's
he had that
38
war
years
with,
old.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's had that war with Haney Munguia, Jermell Charlo, knocked him out in 7. Tszyu beat him in 5. I mean, he's had some hard fights and some beatdowns. So, but over the since the Tszyu fight, he hasn't done too bad. He had that win over Wade Ryan. He beat Sam Edmonton quite easily. So yeah, I mean, if he can avoid the power and use his boxing skills,
Yeah.
he'll do okay. I mean, Dennis Hogan is not a knockout artist.
Yeah.
I think he's got 7 knockouts on his record.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's certainly a boxer. He's not a puncher, and he's certainly not a brawler. He's a boxer. He has a very high ring IQ, and he can neutralise opponents, which is what he did to Munguia and Wade Ryan when he got those. Well, he should have won. He should have won against Munguia. But yeah, I mean, against Wade Ryan, I thought Wade Ryan was going to knock him out, and he completely neutralised him. So same with Sam Haney. I thought Sam Haney, maybe youth might get him, but no. Dennis used his ring IQ and experience and won quite comfortably.
Here's a question. Do you think that, like right now, the women's boxing scene in Australia has kind of calmed down a little bit? Is it safe to say right now, since Ebony is injured, that, and off the top of my head, Cherneka right now is supposed to be leading the way? She's going to be fighting Ellie Scotney on, what date is that? It's saying June the 10th on the undercard of Sonny Edwards versus Andrew Campos. That's going to be on the Zone here in the States and over in Australia. It was originally supposed to be this weekend. But can you tell me what happened with that? Why it's not happening this weekend from what you've heard?
Like, I can't remember, but I don't know whether it was...
It was some
Chantel
weird...
Cameron's... Someone from Cameron's team had a problem with either Ellie Scotney or Cherneka's team. And I couldn't make head nor tail of it. I still can't make any sense of it.
I remember it was something stupid.
I think someone from Chanel Cameron's team had a problem with someone from either Ellie Scotney's or Cherneka's team. Now, Cherneka makes no sense considering she's in Australia. Someone from Cameron's team had a problem with someone else's team, and that's how it got thrown off. And yeah, it was all just a clusterfuck of rumours, and I don't think we ever actually got to the bottom of it. I don't think we ever got to the bottom of why that fight was not on.
Yeah, no, it was some weird reason. From what I've seen from both fighters, I like Ellie Scotney, but she hasn't really shown me. Like, I've seen Ellie Scotney's good. She's a disciplined fighter, but I won't be surprised if Cherneka beats her.
Oh, no, I wouldn't be. I mean, Cherneka's been in with some experienced women. I mean, she had the fight with Shannon O'Connell. She had the fight with Tszyu Ramadan. She beat the Mexican girl to become the champion. So Cherneka's no joke. So
yeah, and also she's got, that's a somewhat respectable high knockout percentage with 15 wins, 6 of them being by stoppage. Ellie Scotney only has 6 wins to her name. 25 years old. The biggest win of her career, well, she's got the 2 against Molly's Gangloff, the girl who a lot of people felt beat Ebony Bridges, and Maria Roman.
Yeah, that was at Maria Roman was at 122, wasn't it? It wasn't at 118.
Yeah, it was at 122, and that was the girl that a lot of people felt didn't come on too late. I mean, she came on a little too late against Ebony Bridges.
Yeah, she did. I mean, she clearly won those last 4 rounds easy. Boxed Ebony's ears off. So yeah, she come on far too late. So
yeah.
But I mean, like everything, she has to prove that in the ring. So obviously, want Cherneka to win. So because she's the Australian fighter. So yeah, I think it'll be a tough fight, but I think Cherneka will get the W there.
All right. But
yeah, I really feel sorry that that fight got thrown off the Katie Taylor undercard. But I'm happy that Dennis has got his big fight in Ireland, because if anyone deserves a big homecoming in Ireland, it's Dennis Hogan, that's for sure. So. And
by the way, are you you're picking Andrew over Nakatani, or are you picking Nakatani?
Oh. Well, you know, Brain says Nakatani, Hart says Andrew. Of course I want Andrew to bloody win. I mean, I don't want him to lose another bloody title fight because this is, this is the 4th world title fight he's ever had? Are we counting that WBA belt that the
it's considered, yeah, so we got to count it.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, obviously I want him to win. You know, so we can have the boys both have belts together. But yeah, I mean, obviously I want Andrew to win, but it's going to be a very tall order. So
yeah,
of course he can do it, but it's going to be a tough fight.
Be sure to take your time out, like the video and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at TstreeT Controversy, and you can follow Big J at Old Mate Big J on Twitter. So to switch it up a little bit, let's talk about one of the other champions, Jai Opetaia, IBF champion, who defeated Miras Briedis last year. When was that? That was July 2nd.
July 2nd.
Of last year, in a spectacular win where he had both sides of his jaw broken. I can only imagine the pain he was going through, and we talked about it, you know, around the time that it happened, shortly after it happened, about how if he had to take time off, it was going to blow his momentum after riding such a big win like that. So what have you been hearing about him, and explain to me or to the viewers and the listeners what's been going on with his situation?
Well, Jai Opetaia was supposed to already have a fight by now, but there's been a legal battle between his current promoter, Events Dean Lonergan, and No Limit Boxing. Now, No Limit Boxing has picked up a lot of fighters from DNL. They picked up Isaac Hartman. They picked up a couple of other, you know, like mid-card, I mean, not main event fighters, but some mid-card guys. And pretty much DNL Events don't really have anyone left in their stable of, main event, status. Jai Opetaia is the only one. There's been court battles where Jai Opetaia has won a court battle. I'm not quite sure of the intricate details, but it was rumoured that Jai Opetaia was going to appear on a no limit card, and court proceedings have stopped that.
Gotcha.
So due to main event's exclusive deal with No Limit, which is why I never liked this idea. I never liked the idea that Fox Sports main event is now exclusive to No Limit and No Limit only. All the other promoters have to go on other channels to be seen. I mean, I don't know why that's stopping Dean Lonergan. I mean, Stan's out there. Stan have put on a couple of shows, so why not just go to Stan and put a show on there?
Yeah, but you know, think about, like, Stan may not want, you know, to put on those fights, you know, and it may not be, what DNL wants as far as like financially. So I can kind of get where they're coming from, because, you know, main event, Fox Sports over there is your biggest pay-per-view platform, and now that No Limit Boxing has that exclusive deal with them, you would imagine that fighters want to be on the biggest platform. So they're saying, like, hey, listen, you've done everything you can do for me. You know, thank you, DNL Events, but it's time for me to move on. And you'll have promoters like, look, we put all this work in you. We're not going to just let you just leave us like this, you know? It gets like that. I've heard this song, you know, particularly here in the States. It happened with Mikey Garcia and Top Rank at one point in time, like where they just held on to his contract for so long. And it's not, you know, Jai Opetaia wouldn't be the first fighter that a promotional deal got in the way of a network deal, and then the fighter couldn't go anywhere. Lawrence O'Colly recently had issues with Matchroom Boxing because of that as well. Another cruiserweight.
Yeah, definitely. So, yeah.
So do we ever know if Jai Opetaia fulfilled his contract and was trying to get out of it early?
No idea. No idea. I mean, I believe that he had a multiple fight deal with DNL, and I don't know where that's at.
So now,
I don't know whether No Limit is trying to buy out DNL or secure Jai's services, because, as I said, apparently, if all went well, he was supposed to be headlining this card that Joseph Parker's fighting Django Opaloo on. That was the rumour. So, but now that's obviously not eventuating. So
So now he's lost momentum because of, his jaw being broken, having to heal up from that, not being able to talk to media, and now he's losing even more momentum and time off because he's somewhat been shelved.
Exactly. I mean, he hasn't fought for 10 months.
And he's with the IBF, which makes it worse because eventually they're going to be like, okay, you got to hurry up and get back and fight. And who's his mandatory again? I forgot. Is it Monster, right?
Masterneck, the Polish guy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'm looking at the rankings right now.
Yeah. It beat Jason Wheatley, the Australian bloke.
Yeah, all right. I
October or
that.
November.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah.
So we don't have no type of time frame on him. Damn shame. So now, he comes off of that big win, and look, now he's going on a year plus layoff if he's not back by July.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. You'd put that probably easy top 10 Australian wins of all time. Easy top 10. It depends where you throw it. Mm-hmm. Possibly even top 5. What do you got? Jeff, Lionel, Danny. Would you put that above George, that win? Probably.
Yeah, we'll put it above. Yes.
Lopez wasn't an established fighter.
I think so.
Yeah, well, that would probably be top 5 Australian wins of all time.
Yeah.
Easy. Because what did we have?
A lot of people did think that Breeders was going to blow Opetaia out because we didn't see enough of Opetaia to think that or to know that he was that good.
Exactly. We thought he was going to knock him out 6 rounds. I said, if he lasts 6 rounds, it'll be a miracle.
Yeah.
So, that's easy top 5 wins of all time.
So, next topic. Earlier today, George Kambosos, an email was released by Top Rank that George Kambosos, former undisputed champion at 135 pounds, has signed a multi-fight co-promotional deal in association with Lou DiBella Entertainment. I'm not surprised at that because he was going to either have to sign with Matchroom and work with Eddie Hearn with Lou DiBella and fight on the zone, or fight, like he wasn't going to be fighting on ESPN without being signed to Top Rank. And you have to imagine, we've seen that Top Rank and Lou DiBella have somewhat of a good relationship. So the question is, if that rumor is true that he's going to be fighting Maxi Hughes on July the 29th, for one, we've been talking about here in the States, kind of similar to the DNL No Limit situation, where over in the UK, the organization Boxer, BOXXER, run by Ben Shalom, who has an exclusive network deal with Sky Sports, they've been poaching a lot of Matchroom The Zone fighters. So it's only going to be Maxi Hughes if Maxi Hughes is a promotional free agent, network free agent, or he's with Boxer, which Top Rank here in the States has a broadcast deal. Basically, for example, this weekend, to keep things short, Haney versus Loma is going to be on Sky Sports over in the UK because of Sky Sports affiliation with ESPN over here in the States. Sky Sports is the UK's version for American fans of ESPN here in the States. So they've been sharing fights for some time now. So do you feel that Kambosos, with a win over Maxi Hughes, basically, take Maxi Hughes out of it. Do you feel that Kambosos is on his way to a Shakur Stevenson fight?
Oh, yeah.
I think that's the way it's going.
Yeah, you'd have to be, because that fight is more so, it's a benefit, it's a win-win for both blokes. Because if George beats Stevenson, that cements his place as a top contender, and vice versa. If Stevenson beats Kambosos, it's like, okay, righto, he's beaten the former unified world champ. Yeah, Shakur Stevenson's ready for Haney. So it's a win-win for both guys.
Or, it might not even be an eliminator. It might be George Kambosos fights Maxi Hughes. If he beats him, fight someone else, and then George Kambosos, maybe, some talks that, okay, well, let's let George Kambosos fight the winner of Devin Haney, Loma, and Shakur Stevenson, and then he'll get a shot at the undisputed again. So for some reason, I'm thinking that it may be 2 more fights before he gets a title shot to build him up to fight, for a really big fight. But by the way, if he was to fight Maxi Hughes, the rumors are it's going to be in Oklahoma, of all places. Weird place to put a card, headlined by an Australian boxer.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's not like that hasn't happened before, because I'm pretty sure before COVID hit, Andrew Moloney was supposed to fight some bloke, or was it Jason? One of the Moloney boys was supposed to fight some bloke in Oklahoma, so it's not like they haven't done that before.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, yeah. I can't remember who he was supposed to fight. Was it some Japanese fighter? I can't remember. But
I do remember something
remember
like that. I remember. Yeah, I remember they was supposed to fight over there.
Yeah, but the location was Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember that before the pandemic came along and fucked everything
Well,
up.
hopefully when George comes back, he brings back the ferociousness and understands like what type of fighter that he is. You know, he's not a technician. You know, you got to go out there and you got to put your boot in somebody's ass, like, you know.
Yeah, he's a fighter. He's certainly not a boxer. He's a fighter.
You know, and it's no fault to that. Stevie Spark got robbed. You know, I think that's safe to say, because, you know, it was a fight, you know, even when you listen to the commentary and the fans, you know, it was a fight that people were booing when they heard the decision that Stevie Spark lost against Gabriel Valenzuela in Mexico on the Canelo versus Ryder undercard. Now, that brings into question, well, do you do now the Montana Love versus Stevie Spark rematch? Montana Love was supposed to fight Richardson Hitchens, but it fell apart for some reason. And from what I can remember, it was more on Montana Love's side. So I think that the Stevie Spark Montana Love rematch makes more sense. But tell me what you thought about the fight against Spark versus Venezuela.
Yeah, bullshit card. Spark won that fight. I think it was, 7 rounds 5? Was that accurate?
Yeah.
It wasn't a huge win, but it was definitely a win.
Yeah, 94, 95, 93, 96, 95, 94. Split decision.
Yeah, no, I think it was, I had it 96, 93, that's right, 96, 93, yeah.
However, Spark did start slowing down, though.
He did, because he got dropped. It's that gut punch.
Yeah.
That was it round 7 when he got dropped, or round 6?
Don't remember. It's not showing it on Box Rec. Yeah.
It was around that knockdown changed the scope of the entire fight.
It did.
As soon as it might have been round 8, because as soon as he went down and went, fuck, here they go, they're going to screw him based on this. Because pretty much, bar that, as I said, 96, 93, bar those 3 rounds that old mate won, Spark had it all over him.
Yeah.
So, and just another Australian who got screwed in Mexico, joining the ranks of, Dennis Hogan got screwed in Mexico versus Munguia. Susie Ramadan got screwed in Mexico against, I think it was a WBC champion at the time. So, yeah, it's, as they say, you go to Mexico and you're 5 rounds down before the belly of the rings. So, fighting in Mexico, it's extremely hard to get the nod at the end of the day with the cards. So, but then again, that happens in all countries, so I shouldn't really pick on Mexicans.
Yeah.
But, it was complete bullshit, and it's just an embarrassment. I mean, everyone knows that Spark won that fight.
So even though we did talk about it in a whole post-fight video, we can touch on Jason Moloney defeating Vincent Astrolabia for the vacant WBO title. I have the rankings pulled up here, and as we talked about in our previous post-fight video, is that the division is all over the place. And also, I was informed that the WBA champion Takuma Inoue is the brother of Naoya Inoue. It's just that Takashi Inoue, the one that Tszyu fought, is not related. So right now, the WBC is vacant. Nonito Donaire will likely be fighting for that title against, hopefully Rung B-side. It'll be a fight we'll love to see. The IBF is vacant. Emmanuel Rodriguez will be fighting one of the top 4 or 5 guys. And Takumi Inoue just won that belt off of Liberio Solis a few months ago, and Jason Moloney just won against Astrolabia. So it's going to be interesting to see how aggressive they're going to be with Moloney. And I'm thinking that they're going to try to go directly after a unification, possibly against Manny Rodriguez or whoever wins that IBF title.
Absolutely, because the only downside with Jason winning this title is that it was a vacant title.
Yeah.
So because a lot of people out there, whether they say it or not, and it's a fact, the only reason Jason got that belt is because Inouye moved up.
Yeah.
So, he beat Paul Butler easy. What's Paul Butler's story? Is he retired or what is he doing?
No, he hasn't officially retired yet.
Well, that would be a good defense for Jason because that way it would be like, hey, he beat the guy who had the belt. So that would sort of like legitimize his win. Or go after a unification bout. I mean, I want the Manuel Rodriguez unification rematch. That would be what I'd personally tell him to go after. But then again, it's how long's that fight's going to take to put together.
Because right now, Manny Rodriguez has nothing on the schedule. And if for them to be on the same timeline, Manny Rodriguez would have to be fighting for that title sometime in the next couple of months. So I just did a little Google search and I can't find anything that's going on with him right now.
Yeah, there's also there's a fight. Well, it was supposed to happen, but it didn't with Anito Denier. But then again, he doesn't have a belt around his waist either.
Yeah. So the Inoue fight, I haven't seen enough tape on Takuma Inoue. Maybe he can try to, go after that WBA belt.
Yeah, I would probably stay away from that unless you really think that there's enough tape that you can beat him.
Yeah.
I would personally go after Paul Butler first.
Yeah, as a title defense, yeah, that makes sense. Milk it a little bit and then wait to see if a unification opens up. That way you extend his career and also go make a little money with a guy, because Jason Moloney can beat Paul Butler. But, he'll be able to make a little bit of money, live with the butt a little bit and then go after a bigger unification fight in the future.
Oh, absolutely. Because it legitimizes his win. They can have the fight in Australia. If Andrew wins, they'll put both of them on the card.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's personally what I would do. I would wait to see who gets what belt, right? Have a defense against Butler and then go after a unification bout. So that's what I would be doing. But it's up to Tony Chalash and the team Moloney. But personally, that's what I'd be telling him to do. So
all right,
that's just me.
All right, so now we got two major topics to talk about. One that recently news just broke that the WBO has ordered Tszyu and Jermell Charlo to take place by September the 30th. Tszyu is going to be taking on Carlos Ocampo, former Errol Spence opponent, former at 147, former Sebastian Fundora opponent. He is now officially ranked by the WBO. That's going to be on June the 18th. Showtime is going to air the fight here in the States prime time. It's going to be main event pay-per-view over in Australia. That's going to be a Sunday afternoon card for the viewers and listeners over there. And I have the article pulled up here. So I'm guessing you can say that the WBO is tired of Charlo, and also I've noticed that fans are kind of starting to turn on Charlo as well, despite the fact that he's been injured. Just the Charlo brothers have been, just really getting dragged through the mud because of their inactivity, along with Errol Spence as well, who shares a camp with Jermell Charlo. So what's your thoughts on this news? The winner must be available. Here's what it says. It says the winner must be available, ready, willing, and able to face in his next WBO junior within the above. Oh, I got the little release here I'm reading. So yeah, Tszyu sure has some stroke with the WBO, like big time. Jeez.
Well, I think it's I have one question. When did the WBO make this decision? Before or after Carlos Campos fight was finalized? Because that's a very interesting question.
I'm pretty sure it was after.
Yeah, I think so, because why would they let Tim have a fight and then go order 2 seconds? Well, that's what I can't figure out. Why would they let him have a fight and then 2 seconds later order him to fight Charlo within 4 months?
With 4 months, yeah.
Because now this fight with Carlo Campos becomes extremely risky, because what if he hurts himself?
Yeah.
That's the biggest problem. What if Tim hurts him, busts his hand or whatever? Because he's had hand problems. He just recovered from hand problems.
Yeah.
What if he hurts his hand again?
It says Tuesday, May the 16th. That's when it says, I have the document pulled up here. This is when it was signed and put out.
Okay, Tuesday, May the 16th. Well, that's only 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I'm glad to see that the WBO is they're taking Charlo to task and they're not putting up with his bullshit, because, yeah, mate, you've been frigging injured for, we haven't fought in over a year, and you've been injured for how long now? 4 months?
Yeah.
I mean, I know hand injuries never really heal properly. I mean, I can say that from experience.
And from my
like, I'm still
understanding, yeah,
fucked up
mine's
in
is still. I
20
broke mine 2 years ago. Boxing with no wraps on, hit somebody right on the top of the head the wrong way. Yeah, yeah, and it was supposedly broken in 2 places.
Yeah, that's right. Hand injuries never really heal properly.
Yeah, the fight against
But
Carlos
it comes-
Ocampo was this week a year ago. I mean, Brian Castano, excuse me.
Yeah.
Charlo versus
But-
Castano was May the 14th last year.
Yeah. I mean, I understand he's undisputed champion. He can pretty much do what he wants. But at some point, the sanctioning bodies are going to go, oi, you can't just hold the division to ransom. Fight or fuck off.
Yeah.
So,
And after a while, they got
I mean-
they got to say, hey, listen, we understand you injured, but like, you know, so basically, I'm thinking that the fight's not going to happen in September or October. It might happen at the end of this year, but they're basically telling him, listen, like, you're not fighting nobody else. No comeback, like tune-up fight. You have to come right back and fight Tszyu or drop your belts.
well, that's for that belt. I mean, what the other sanctioning bodies do is up to them. So,
Yeah.
I mean, the WBO doesn't control what the other sanctioning bodies do.
I
It's just
wonder,
their belt.
you know, because Showtime here in the States wouldn't be putting all this into Tszyu. I think there's got to be some type of agreement, you know, from Charlo's team that they're going to fight Tszyu. You know,
Well, they're going to have to.
because I don't think that Charlo's going to drop the belt.
He shouldn't, because I don't want him to drop the belt, because then Tim wins a vacant belt. Everyone's like, really?
Yeah.
It's like, you know, oh, he got the belt because Charlo vacated. It's like, that's a dampener on things. We want to see the fight.
Yeah.
If Charlo's as good as he says he is, which he is, but after, you know, it'll be at least probably 15 to 18 months before he gets back into the ring.
Yeah.
You know, and Tszyu's just on a bloody, he's been on a streak since he beat Jeff Horn, to be honest. Let's be fair. That's
He's
3 years.
averaging, you know, outside of waiting for Charlo last year, he's averaging 3 fights a year. You know, the last 3 years.
Averaging 3 fights a year. Yeah, I mean, he's finally stepped up the competition and fighting guys he should have fought in the first place. I mean, Carlos Ocampo, yep, good, stay busy fight. You know, we can't put a damper on it. It's fine. He's protecting his title shot. He wants to have a good fight against a decent opponent, but still very low risk. So, you know, who can blame him for that?
And he's 28 years old,
Uh,
as we talked about. He can't get wrapped up. PBC has a known reputation. It's not, you know, it's not just me saying it, of their fighters being inactive. And fighters that want to fight them end up being inactive as well. You know, so it's like, I'm glad that he's not falling into that and he is staying active.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think if I'm correct, I think this is the first guy Tszyu has fought that's ranked in the top 15 that's under the age of 30.
Okay.
Exactly. How old's Terrell Goucher?
I don't know, but he's not. Let me check now real quick. But I know he's definitely in his 30s, even if it's young 30s. Let me pull it real quick. 35. Carlos Ocampo is
so this is
27.
the first bloke that Tszyu's fought that's ranked in his prime under 30 since Dwight Ritchie. I'm pretty sure.
Hold on, let me check. I'm guessing Jack Brewbreaker is over 30.
No, blown up welterweight, he doesn't count. I'm talking an actual established 154, not a blown up welterweight. Jack Brewbreaker doesn't count. He was a blown up welterweight.
Well, damn. Why does it say it? Is this true that Dwight Ritchie passed?
Yes, Dwight Ritchie has passed, yes.
I don't remember. He was 27 at the time when they fought.
Was he that old? I thought he was only like 25.
No, correction, 25. Yeah, I'm
Okay.
looking at it there. My bad. No, he passed when he was 27.
Yeah, very, very sad. Yeah, very,
So basically,
very sad.
you know, what you're saying is Tszyu, you know, hasn't been like really fighting like younger guys, you know, for the most
No,
part.
he hasn't fought. I mean, Tszyu has not been fighting blokes in prime, ranked fighters,
Yeah.
you know, at established 154 fighters.
Well,
Most
one
of the
thing I
people
can
he has
say is
fought-
Carlos Ocampo, like he is a power puncher. You know, despite him not looking good, you know, against Sebastian Fundora, but you know, for anybody, you know, unless you really know how to get him, Sebastian Fundora can be difficult to hit. You know, if you're a headhunter, you know.
Yeah, but I think Tim's going to use his body work against this bloke. I mean, that's Tim's greatest asset.
He can beat him. He can beat him. But as I've talked about, I've already seen enough from Tim to now, and the longer Charlo is taken, I'm starting to, to take this fight. I'm starting to think like, listen, he has a bigger chance than I've given him ever before to beat Jermell Charlo.
Absolutely. The longer Charlo sits around with his thumb up his ass doing fuck all, Tim just continues to train, continues to fight.
Out there getting smashed, worrying about the wrong things,
Well, exactly. I mean, Charlo's running around like a chip with his head cut off instead of
not
focusing
taking Tim seriously.
Well, that's the biggest mistake any fighter can make. It's underestimating your opponent.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, if you like they say on the Twitter, if you fuck around, you're going to find out. And Charlo's fucking around.
Yeah.
So, and he'll find out.
Well, that's some good news. That's some good news is that now we know that the sanctioning body is not going to let Charlo fight anyone else. And I'm sure there'll be network pressure on Charlo to be like, hey, listen, we giving Tszyu this airtime and been building this fight up. And, you can't just really drop the belt. But also in this day and age, those belts are valuable. Put it this way, I don't see Charlo not fighting him unless some super mega fight come up. And there's no super mega fight out there where, he can make that much money. I don't see it. I can't find that fight where he can make more money fighting anyone else. What you say?
Unless Crawford goes to 154.
Yeah, but then that means like, they're under the same banner with everything. Network, manager, promoter, trainer. The Spence fight has to happen first. Like the Charlo fight ain't going to happen before the Spence fight. So, but besides that, I see no other fight where Charlo won't be able to fight Tszyu. And especially, even if it does take place here in the States in Vegas, that TV money that Charlo would get a chunk of from Australian boxing, it would be too much to turn down. You see what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like he would probably make more money globally than he would from here in the States off of that fight.
Exactly. Charlo knows he needs to fight him, so just bloody get your hand right and get into it. Simple as that.
Yeah, well, I'm guessing, we'll be hearing something. Hopefully this weekend, they give a little bit of an update of, anything going on. And obviously, they're not going to tell us too much because they're going to be like, well, Tszyu's got to get past Ocampo first. But I can imagine probably around like the summer, July or so, we should be hearing something, about this fight getting done. I would be real pissed off if we have to wait to the deadline for them to be like, okay, they're talking to try to work out a deal. But at one point in time, it shouldn't be that hard because the fight was already done.
We're going to wait to the deadline. That.
Yeah, but at one point in time, it shouldn't be that difficult this time around because the fight was already done at one point,
Exactly. But I'm not going to hold my breath on this. September 30 will come, and they'll say, they're going to extend it for a month or some bullshit.
All right.
So,
well, take your time out, like the video, subscribe. Thanks for watching TstreeT Controversy with FightView360 and TraversialMedia.com. You can follow Big J at OldMate Big J on Twitter. So now a heavyweight fight coming up, or a heavyweight-led card coming up between Joseph Parker and Jai Opetaia. This is how you pronounce his name, right? Django Opetaia. It's going to be taking place on May the 24th on, it's an obscure type of card that's basically, this is not what it was supposed to be, right? Explain how this card came about. It's headlined by Joseph Parker, but go ahead.
Initially, if all things went according to plan, this card would have been headlined by Harry Garside, who's in all sorts of shit at the moment, back in March. That was the original plan.
Okay.
The original plan was for No Limit was to have Tszyu fight Charlo in January, and then have this card in Melbourne, headlined by Harry Garside. I'm pretty sure Tszyu was going to be on the undercard. Possibly fighting Ben Loma. They've been talking about that fight for
let me read out the card really quickly. It's going to be Cameron Mooney versus Tom Bellchambers, Luke Garsbeck versus Jack Moore, Campbell Somerville versus Isaiah Sete, David Nakia versus Louise Marsters, Joel Taylor versus Ben Horn, Nikita Tszyu versus Benjamin Bomber, Jade Mitchell versus Max Reeves, and Joe Parker versus Django Opetaia. That's the card now, according to BoxRec.
it's not a bad card. I mean, it's not a pay-per-view worthy card, but still, it's not a bad card. I mean, $60 for this. I'm like, really?
Jeez. Yeah. They just, well, we talked about it. They charge up for anything over there.
Oh, yeah, but it's not the worst card, no limits put on, but it's certainly not the best either. So,
By the way,
yeah,
I just pulled up the main event website, and I thought I saw last week that it was only $30, but you guys are paying $60 for Haney versus Loma.
what? No, okay. Right on.
I'm looking
$60
at it, and
for
then
Haney versus Loma.
yeah, and then the Parker Opalu card that's also $60. Jeez.
Oh, well, I think they're pricing themselves out of bloody some sales there, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So that's $120 for two cards that are only a few days apart. Yeah, I don't
And
think
on the
so.
same day, they're charging you guys. Now, this is interesting to me. Katie Taylor versus Chantel Cameron is not on the zone, but on main event pay-per-view for $30.
That sounds about right. That's a lot of money. That's $150 for three cards. That's a lot of
in
money.
a week.
Yeah, exactly.
In a
Well, that's
week.
what we got pubs for. So you go to a pub, you watch it for free at the pub.
So what is this Joe Parker fight supposed to mean? I'm guessing just a stay busy fight. You know, what's the reputation of Opalu over there?
Good fighter. I mean, obviously he's been beat.
Domestic level guy.
He's been beat by Justice Haney. Beat him in his debut for the Australian title, which was back in 2020. Was it 21 or 22? No, it was
2020, into 2020.
Yeah, 2020. Lucas Brown knocked him out in 7 rounds. I think
very
that was
next year, the end of 21. Yeah, the end of 2021.
End of 2021. And, so Django Opalu, a good mid-card fighter, but, nothing. But he had a pretty good win, I think, on the Haney Kambosos too. Undercard, because I was there when it happened. Because I remember him winning. I'm like, and he was supposed to lose. He knocked old, was it 4 rounds he knocked old mate out in?
Yeah, Himi Ahayu.
And that was a bit of an upset win because everyone thought that
yeah, he was 19
he wouldn't win that fight. Yeah, he wouldn't win that fight. So, I mean, for Joseph Parker, obviously it's a bit of a coup for No Limit because Joseph Parker is the most successful heavyweight in the Australasian region.
Yeah.
So that covers what? Australia, New Zealand, I think most of Southeast Asia, because I'm pretty sure he's the only guy to win a world title at heavyweight. So not counting, what's the Chinese bloke's name who's got the interim belt? Zhang, whatever his name is?
Zhili Zhang.
Zhili Zhang, yeah, that's it, yeah. So he's only got an interim title, but I'm pretty sure from this Australasian area, Joseph Parker's the only bloke to win a legit, not a secondary belt, but a legit heavyweight title.
So this is just a glorified, just stay busy card for everyone. And you have Nikita Tszyu. What's the appeal behind the Nikita Tszyu Benjamin Bomber card? They're both undefeated.
Well, you'll remember when I went to Zerafa Harbin last year in April.
Yeah.
He appeared on that card, and he's actually been calling out Nikita for probably since then. Because I interviewed him. I said, "What's next?" He goes, "Oh, I want to go." He wants to drop down to 154.
Yeah.
So this fight has been brewing for at least. Well, I think the seeds were planted about 12 months ago when I spoke to him after the his appearance on the Zerafa Harbin fight.
I mean, we know he's got the power. I mean, for this level at 5-0, 4 KOs, he's got some power. But from what you've seen, does he have the skill? Now we know that we know that Akita has some real power. We know that for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'm guessing you're picking Nikita to knock him out, or you're picking Nikita just to win.
No, I'm picking Nikita. This is a really 50-50 fight because either guy could get up at any point.
Yeah.
So I don't actually know which way to go with this one. A lot of people saying, "Oh, Nikita will flog him," and all this sort of jazz. I'm like, well, hang on. Ben Horn almost got him.
Yeah,
so,
I remember that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it depends. I think 50-50. I honestly don't know which way to go on this one, to be perfectly honest with you. So, I mean, I think Nikita has a clear advantage, but there's no reason why Ben can't beat him. So, I mean, he's a heavy underdog. I mean, I think Nikita's like $1.10 versus Ben's like $10. So he's a heavy underdog. but they've also got an AFL. I thought No Limit would learn to stay away from retired football player fights. Now they're having two AFL players fight, which is Cameron Mooney versus, what's the old mate's name? He's a former
Tom Bell Chambers.
Yeah, these guys are both former. Yeah, these guys are both former AFL players. So it's Australian rules. It's the most popular code in the country. Yeah, and the only thing worse than two NRL players fighting is two AFL players fighting, because AFL guys can't fight to save their lives.
Okay.
So yeah, it's even though Cameron Mooney looks pretty good, it's like really,
yes.
I thought they would stay away from this.
According to Google, he's 43 years old, and Bell Chambers is what? 33.
Maybe around the same age. These guys are long retired. So
gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Cameron Mooney, great Cats player, won 3 premierships with the Geelong Cats. I'm not quite sure if old mate won a premiership with Essendon back in the day.
But basically, it's a fight that doesn't really mean nothing, and they're still dabbling in, these exhibitions that they really don't need.
Exactly. I mean, you got to give him credit for having the guts to get in the ring and train it in the first place, but it's an unnecessary novelty.
Yeah.
So,
all right. The other news is the rumors that Tyson Fury, who's a close friend of Joseph Parker, is supposed to be there. You say it's some bullshit. You don't believe it?
I'll fucking believe it when I'm standing next to him.
Yeah.
I'll believe it when I'm standing next to him.
Let me see.
Bullshit. He's
Tyson
not coming out for
Fury.
this.
Parker.
I hope
he
he
might
does.
show up.
Well, they said Charlo was coming to Zoo, and that didn't happen. So bullshit.
Actually, no. We got a little sound clip here from main event from last week, May the 12th, of him saying he's going to be there. Here, listen to this.
And training partner.
I've always said I want.
Let me see.
Joseph, is it right in saying that if you do keep winning, you might find yourself on a collision course with Fury? I mean, how do you feel about fighting your good friend and training partner?
I've always said I wanted to fight Tyson because I want to test myself against the best out there, and I believe that he is the best in our generation. And if it happens in the future, it'll be tough, but you can always put friendship and brotherhood aside and go for it. And whatever happens, you can always make up at the end after the fight. Go have a nice feed and chill.
So here's what the caption says for main event: Kiwi heavyweight Joseph Parker confirmed the news every Aussie boxing fan wanted to hear. His good mate Tyson Fury will be in Melbourne to support him. But could these friends soon become foes? Do you think they would fight? Tyson Fury's been bullshitting around so much. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes. I mean, Fury threw his mate Derek Chisora a bone, so why the hell not?
Yeah. But Fury's also mixed up deep in those quiet negotiations for that big heavyweight week in Saudi Arabia, where you would have Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua in Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk. I haven't had time to talk about it on the channel yet, but that's really supposed to be a real possibility that the Saudis are throwing around some major hundreds of millions of dollars to try to make that happen. But as it stands right now, even Bob Arum confirmed during this week that Tyson Fury is not going to be fighting this summer because they're waiting. They're still in negotiations for that Australian boxing. That Saudi boxing deal. But closing thoughts?
I welcome it if it happens.
What'd you say?
I welcome it if it happens.
Yeah, because I don't think we ever would ever see that in our generation, where we have, two big heavyweight fights happening in the same place in the same week. That'd be crazy.
No, if they can get it done, good bloody on them, I welcome it. But I call bullshit on both. There's no way Fury's coming here. I'd like to see it, but I'll believe it when I'm standing next to him.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Closing thoughts?
Obviously, big weekend. Looking forward to Andrew getting up, Dennis getting up. Looking forward to the card next week. Let me see what they've got for next week. They'll have the final interview on Monday, weigh in on Tuesday as usual, fight on Wednesday. Aussie boxing's on fire at the moment. The girls, they will be back. I saw the other day on Twitter that Ebony's getting back into shape because her hand's healing. There's not much else going on with the ladies at the moment. I don't know when Sky's fighting again, isn't she? There's nothing on her coming up soon?
Yeah,
no?
You know what? Yeah, let me check that real quick. You're right. I would have thought we would have. She's been just
Well,
dreadful though lately.
Hmm?
She's been just dreadful though lately, and she's getting close
Oh.
now where they're gonna have to start stepping her up. Yeah, she
Yeah,
just
I mean, she's still
no,
fought.
yeah, she just fought last month. Yeah, so she don't have nothing up yet.
Yeah.
She's had 2
I
fights this
see,
year so far.
Isn't Justice Haney supposed to be on a matchroom card soon?
Yeah, you know what? Check now. He was on
Because
something, but I
wasn't he
think they
supposed to
took
be
him
on the?
off.
Wasn't he supposed to be on the undercard to the Haro fight or something? Like
That
the
was the
original one
rumor that
against
was going
Kambosos or
around.
whatever?
That was the rumor that was going around. But yeah, so far, I can't find anything on him. I'm guessing, is he still like dealing with those injuries, like those issues with his hands? Is he on injury because he hasn't fought since
No.
November?
That's all good. That's all good. So he hasn't had any problems with his hands. But as soon as he signed with Eddie, I'm like, oh god, here we go. This is not going to be good because Eddie might support the female boxers, but he sure dicks around the blokes.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and there's plenty of evidence of that. So
Yeah, there's no
Stevie Spark for one.
there's no recent news outside of him signing with Eddie Hearn. No, nothing.
Exactly. I mean, Dempsey King's not doing anything. Well, Liam's
Yeah, it just seemed like he just gave up on Dempsey.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know what's going on with him because
He
was
just
supposed to
disappeared.
be the.
He was getting a little bit of push. Remember, Eddie was talking him up and everything. And now look, where's he at now?
Yeah, exactly. Eddie wanted him to fight AJ at one point, which I just laughed
Yeah,
at.
crazy. But all
But no,
right.
I think we've covered everything, and we're looking forward to the weekend.
Yeah, we will be here after Moloney versus Nakatani. And also later on, probably likely during the same video, we'll be giving our update or our post-fight content on Dennis Hogan's fight against James Metcalf. And Big J is going to be, where's it taking place? In Melbourne, right? The Joe Parker fight?
Yeah, up the road at the Margaret Court Arena, which is literally just the next building over from Rod Labour, where Haney Kambosos 2 happened.
All
So
right,
that's all
and
the same area.
And we will be here for that content as well. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, follow, and like the Fight View 360 Boxing Podcast. This is the Australian boxing podcast for Fight View 360. Also, you can find this episode on TraversialMedia.com and the video portion on the YouTube channel. Follow me at TstreeT Controversy and Big J at Old Mate Big J on Twitter. And please leave a like before you go. Thanks for watching.